Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in. Dr. Ravi will start the webinar at 10 o'clock. And please be on standby for the meanwhile. Thank you.
Can you hear me now? Hey, Pratmesh, can we check the sound in the video? Yeah, because I just said something and nobody has responded. I just want to make sure the speed is okay. Otherwise, I may have to move to a different place and that's the only problem. Yeah.
Hello, welcome everyone. We're about to start the webinar by Dr. Ravi. And let me begin by introducing the region overseas education consultants and Dr. Ravi Madhushan. So we at Meridian, we continuously bring webinars from different streams live to you, and we invite prominent personalities from around the world. Today, we've got a very special scientist, Dr. Ravi Madhushan, and Dr. Markashayam boasts an impressive 28-year career at NASA, where he served pivotal roles such as vibroacoustic researcher, chief launchpad systems engineer, and the co-chair of the ground release safety panel. His contribution to over 100 space shuttle missions, including launching the first Indian woman astronaut, Kalpana Chawla, showcases an integral role in space exploration. Dr. Margashayan is known internationally for his expertise in rocket launch-induced noise and vibration technology, and his journey in space science began even before NASA. He spent a decade at Boeing across diverse industries from railroads to aviation, resolving complex technical problems. And Dr. Ravi holds degree in mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, business administration, and doctorate in general business management. He's very committed to his academic excellence. Apart from that, Dr. Margashayan's dedication to mentorship is exceptional. As a global space ambassador, he's committed to fostering the next generation of space industry leaders, living by his mission to create masters. And that is how he's also associated with NSS, which is the National Space Society, Mumbai chapter, and which he has inaugurated in 2019. Also, we have today Pratmesh, who's joined us from NSS. Also, let me please introduce Ms. Moshni Banerjee, who is also the moderator for this event. So Dr. Ravi's vision for the chapter is to bridge the gap between industry and academia and guide students into the field of STEAM and space. That's all from my side. I give over to Dr. Ravi. Please welcome Dr. Ravi Margashan.
Thank you. You can all hear me properly there?
You're very audible, Dr. Ravi.
What? Say that again?
Yes, you're very audible, Dr. Ravi.
Okay, great. Good morning there, good evening here, I guess good night here almost. It's a great honor and privilege for me to be part of overseas group also, as well as NSS. It gives me great pleasure to be with the students of India and many parts of India, I would say. And I'm originally from Mumbai, but I have traveled throughout India and can speak many languages. So it's really nice. Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Singhvi. Thanks to Maushami Banerjee. She has done a lot of work to get this going. And obviously, Pratmesh from our NSS team, president of NSS, he has done tremendous amount of hard work. Just want to quote Winnie the Pooh. There is one universe, 8 planets, 7 continents, 809 islands, 204 countries, 7+ billion people in the world. I have the privilege of meeting all of you today. It's amazing coincidence that how like-minded people, like-minded philosophy comes together basically. With that, I'm going to start the presentation because we have a lot of videos to show. This is going to be a video journey, and in between, I'll tell you my experiences and stuff like that. Obviously, one lecture is not going to make the entire AI come to you. But, I think more importantly, I want to impress upon you that what we are doing in space, because that is the most important thing. With that, let's start with the first slide, Pratmesh.
Oh, I hope my screen is visible for you all.
Yeah, right now. Yeah, okay. I'm seeing the NASA logo. Just want to impress upon all the people in the world, in India right now, and the world really, that this symbol means quite a bit, because I worked with NASA for 30 years. But more importantly, I was a small boy just like you in Mumbai. I was dreaming, sleeping on the terrace and watching the stars go by, and looking at the moon and looking at the sun sometimes, and that's about it. Really, my whole world was that. But coming to America and being the topmost engineer and a contributor to NASA, it's like an amazing journey for me. And, it can happen to anybody. That is very important. I just want to impress upon you that I was a shy introvert. I was a loser. I was a failure in India, in Mumbai. But today I'm on top of the world, and that is what I want to impress upon you, that the journey is possible if you just don't want to give up. Next slide. So today we are going to talk about multidisciplinary AI application. Really, this presentation was done primarily by me and Pratmesh, who's the president of NSS. I want to give him like 99% credit, and I'll take 1%. So, he's well versed with this, and and he can also give this presentation. So I'm so happy to have people who are working with me, and some of the mentees, I have, are becoming better than me, which is what a guru wants, a master wants. My goal in life is, to create masters. Master is one who is not measured by the number of students he has, but by the number of masters he creates. With that, today we'll be talking a little bit about, next slide, a multidisciplinary AI application. But, we are going to focus on space, because space is a big picture here. I have a favorite quote which says that, space is the ultimate destination for mankind or humankind to orchestrate the creations of his heart and chisel the dreams within his mind. Space is for everybody. And it is very important for us to understand that there is no India, there is no America, there is just one Earth, pale blue dot in the whole big universe. And let's not worry about it. As our astronauts go around the world at Mach 25, 17,000 miles per hour, they don't see any boundaries between India and China and, other countries around the world. So let's forget about this division between us, saying I'm Indian, I'm American, my parents were Australian. I was born in Burma, India, and raised in Burma and Afghanistan. So it doesn't matter. So what is important for you is to look at the big picture. And we just have one Earth, guys. So understand that. Today we'll be just briefly talking about the diverse use and application of AI and how it came about. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but more focus on what NASA is doing, because once you can apply the AI in space, everything is in a subset of what we are doing in Earth. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything you are seeing today in terms of engineering on Earth is because of NASA. No, it's not because of NASA. It's because NASA started something interesting, and they asked people like you and me to come up with ideas. And this is what the beauty about NASA is. We don't want to take the credit. We want to share the credit with the whole world. And so we'll talk a little bit about AI on Earth and space, past, what we did in the past, present, and future, and how it relates to us. Next slide.
Dr. Ravi, I would just like to interrupt, and I really apologize for that. Would you mind please switching on your camera?
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, when we talk about the multidisciplinary perspective of AI, I just want to impress upon you that when we went to moon, NASA went to moon in 1969, there was no AI really. There was very minimal AI, I would say, And so don't get hung up by saying, okay, AI can do everything for you. No, AI cannot do everything for you. When I went to college in Mumbai and Bangalore, I didn't have slide rule. I was using log tables. I didn't even have many tools like the computers and the internet and many things. And even when I came to America, I didn't have a laptop or something like that, which didn't come much later. I didn't even have a cell phone, basically. So just want to impress upon you that don't say that AI is going to do everything for you, but I want you to use AI as a tool. You are going into your life's journey, you have an empty bag, you keep on adding tools in that. And one day you want to open a screw, then you will have a screwdriver. When one day you want to hammer something, you will have a hammer, something like that. So really, AI developed in terms of not only system of engineering and computer science and mathematics. Like we have a favorite quote, scientists study the world as is, but engineers create the world which was never there. So we as engineers, I as engineer, we create something out of nothing. Why? Because we use STEM, science, technology, science and math to work on engineering projects and develop this technology. So whatever you see in AI and whatever you see in the world today as an engineering tool is because of what we as engineers did. When I say we, I don't mean me. I mean the whole world of engineers throughout the world. So I just don't want you to be computer science major. I want you to be systems engineer with the emphasis on computer science. So math is very important. Other social sciences are very important. So AI is not just by itself. It is a stream of computer science and engineering. Next slide. So now here is a bunch of things I want to just give you an overall picture, because this lecture is not about multidisciplinary things of AI. That's a vast subject. Look at this area here. If you start talking about just one area, it can take like years. So AI is a multidisciplinary stream with many faculties. You can talk about many things. Some are engineering technical related, some are non-technical related. And here is a consortium of things. I just want to give you impression saying that, okay, AI just didn't come out of something out of the blue. AI is a very developed mechanism. And when you come down to the nitty gritty, it's all about STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. Okay, science and math are on one side, engineering is in the center, and technology is what we come out of. So when you build a rocket, use science and math, go through engineering, and come with technology. Next slide. So here is artificial intelligence, again, looking at a multimodal assessment. So basically, they will ask you what kind of things it can do: machine learning, speech, vision, natural language processing, expert systems, planning and optimization, robotics. All these things we are using in space. So now the reason I'm forcing you to look at space is because once you understand space and AI, you can do anything in this on this earth or in this universe. Okay, so people ask me why we go to space. I mean, Earth is already in space, so we are not going to space. We are just going to our backyard, basically. So just understand the bigger picture. Don't get hung up on, okay, I want to do. My parents tell me, do science and technology. Okay, fine. My other parents say, okay, do computer science. That's not the end of the world. There are many other things you can do. Next slide. So AI is again. Many areas, as we talk about here. These are diverse industries we can talk about where it can be applied. So the potential is unlimited. And, as I said, don't get hung up on one area or the other area. Be the best, Yes, sometimes I like to tell that you want to be jack of all trades than master of one, basically. Developing a bigger picture, multidisciplinary knowledge is more important than knowing one specific knowledge. So I prefer you to become a systems engineer who understands the whole system. Just like your car just doesn't run on your engine if you don't have the wheels. If you have no tires, it's not going to run. And if you just have tires and no engine, it's not going to run either. So just understand the big picture. When I say big picture, I mean the whole system. So don't get hung up on one area. Next slide. Again, these are many applications of AI. Again, these are sectors in the economy where I can apply. And most importantly here, as the arrow shows, I'm just going to focus on space exploration today. And that too briefly. Next slide. Okay, this is a part of the engineering sector we talked about. And this is my favorite because it has many potential for you guys. You can be a robotics expert. You can work in aerospace engineering. You can work in autonomous systems. You can work in manufacturing. You can work in civil engineering. All these are interconnected some way or the other. Again, the bottom line is STEM. Science and math is very important. Don't forget that quote I told you. Scientists study the world as is. Engineers develop the world which never was there. Basically, we designed the world, we developed the world. So engineers are very important to what the technology. The cell phone which you are holding in your hand, or iPad, or iPhone, or a plane, or a helicopter, or anything else in this world you see is designed by some engineer. Next slide. So again, these are AI applications related to space sector, but also I included some of Earth and space and underwater. So you can see Curiosity rover, a rocket engine like the space shuttle, robotic pilot, drone deliveries, flying cars, and aircraft fighters and things like that. We are going to fly on Mars. Leonardo da Vinci 500 years ago said that, look, guys, I'm going to make a flying machine. But if I can't fly, let somebody can fly. That's the same logic. Werner von Braun said that if space flight is not for me, it can be for others. So on the bottom side, the applications require many areas, and these are just basic areas. Again, autonomous vehicles, automation, face recognition, speech recognition, even for underwater use, autonomous systems and stuff like that. Next slide. So what is artificial intelligence really? I don't want to again go into detail. And again, I'm not an expert in artificial intelligence, and I don't want to be an expert in anything. I want to be a more generalist, and I want to apply my knowledge everywhere. So it's a conglomeration of engineering, of intelligent machines and software or programs. It's an area of computer science that aims to find out ways to simulate human thinking in machines, basically. So what are we doing here? It's the ability of the machine to imitate human intelligence. So it can use many different things. It can improve speed, precision, improve effectiveness. It can reduce costs. I think there were some questions about that, increasing speed of travel. It uses a lot of algorithms and stuff like that. Well, even for the case of Apollo program, we had minimal systems. At those times, we didn't have the integrated circuits properly. The microchips were not developed yet, but still, with a limited amount of power and energy and computer technology, we went to moon and landed man on moon. So this is an amazing feat, which was done much before even AI existed. Next slide. So just a quick run on AI. It's like any technique that enables machines to mimic human behavior. So that's all I want to go in. Machine learning is a subset of AI, and then deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So here in machine learning, we try to feed data into the machine, trying to make it more knowledgeable to learn about it. So again, this is the only thing I'm going to talk about. And if you look at the dates, it's very interesting that AI goes up to 70 to 80, 1970 to 1980 from 1950s. Really, so we landed on moon in 1969, July 20th. So really, but the program started way back in January of 1961. So really, there was no AI there. Okay. So now, why I'm telling you this? Because Apollo 13 happened. And in Apollo 13, one of the famous quotes I want you to remember is, these three men were stuck or beyond the physical reach of humankind. If you fall in a pool, I can give you a hand and bring it up. But what happens if you fall if you're 200,000 miles away from Earth. How do I get you back? So these three men were beyond the physical reach of mankind, humankind, but not beyond the reach of human intelligence, imagination, and ingenuity. With those words, we brought the Apollo 13 people back. And that is one of the finest example of what a human can do with collaboration and clear thinking, connectivity, creative problem solving and stuff like that. Next slide. So AI can analyze large amount of data. It can look at develop movies, songs, products. I think my what do you call my bio was written by ChatGPT. No, I'm sorry, but ChatGPT was not there when my bio was developing for last 40, 50 years in America. So next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So again, we can we'll talk a little bit about this AI use of detecting dangers, not only on Earth, in this case, it's self-driving cars and stuff like that. But where did these technologies come from? Because they came from space. Again, please think very clearly that, I don't want to say that everything at NASA we do is being applied on Earth. Yes, it is being applied on Earth, but we didn't do everything. We created an opportunity for somebody to do it. So I don't want to take the credit, and I don't want people to think that NASA is doing everything and we are just following. No, there are many, many Indians in NASA. There are many, many foreigners in NASA, and we're all working together. We are humankind. Okay, so let's think like that. As I told you earlier, the astronauts, as they go around the world, they say there's no boundaries in space. So why should there be boundaries in our human mind? I was born in Mumbai, brought up in Burma, lived in Kabul, Afghanistan, lived in Middle East. Now my parents are Australian, and I live in America for last 50 years. So who am I? So next slide. So we can, Pratmesh, we can skip this. We can start a little bit and skip after a few seconds. Yeah, go ahead. This is creating movies and writing music and art. So basically, now you understood that what are the capabilities of human mind to write software, or AI can in future develop these technologies. Now, will I be replaced? I don't think so, because my human intelligence is much, much bigger and more creative and more curious. And some of the traits what humans have, the emotion and all that, the computers will never have it. So in this slide, this is a very powerful slide. AI applications, they comprise of Earth. Everything you see in yellow is Earth. Then you have low Earth orbit, like the robonauts, spacecraft maintenance, in-space refueling, and astronaut health monitoring. That's all low Earth orbit. Then we come to Moon, which is about 200,000 miles or so. Autonomous landing, design and construction of artifacts, in situ utilization and stuff like that. Lastly, we talk about Mars, which is maybe in excess of 50 to 100 million miles away, depending upon what time of the year or day we are talking about. And last but not least, in space navigation and communication. So what did mankind do for all these years? We came from Africa, the Horn of Africa. We are 1 million years we started. When we moved around, I think to India, we came around 60,000 years ago before. And then we came to America 40,000, some other parts 20,000 years. We didn't do much. We just went around the Earth, 8,000 miles around the circumference. That's all we did, basically. But two things we did: communication and transporting. We transported ourselves from Africa to other parts of the world. We communicated. We had smoke signals, we had drums, we had horse carriages, all kinds of technologies and stuff like that. So what has changed now? Nothing has changed, except we are looking at our backyard. Our backyard is huge. And so we want to explore. So if you want to ask me, what is my legacy? My legacy was building the International Space Station, which we'll talk a little bit about it later, and making mankind live and work in space. That is my legacy. Yes, launching first Indian woman in space is my legacy also. Working on launching Hubble and other things is also my legacy. But this is the most important legacy, is launching the first Indian woman and making sure that humankind has the next step. He's a wanderer. He's basically, we can't be living on this earth forever. We have to wander. Ship looks beautiful on the harbor, but that's not the ship is built for. Rocket, if I don't launch the rocket, SLV-3 or something like that, it looks very pretty on the launch pad, but that's not what the rocket is made for. It's supposed to go somewhere and do some things. That's why we are explorers. Humankind has always explored. Next slide. So in the past, many things we have done. Now there are three segments I'm going to talk. Past of NASA, how we used AI in the past, the present use of AI, and then the future use of AI. With those three things, I want to break it down in such a way that, they are intermingled, but also we just want to give you a different perspective. So this way you are very clear that we go from like 1950 to 1980, then 1980 to 2010 maybe, and then 2010 to later on is deep learning. So the 1950 to 1980 is your AI, and the machine learning comes in between 2000 and 1980. So those are your timeline here. Okay, so let's go to next slide. I just want to show you this autonomous system is used for launching rockets. Okay, rockets don't stop there, but as a kid growing up in Mumbai, I was launching Diwali rockets, tiny rockets. Now I'm launching this kind of rockets, 100 of them. Each costs $500 million, $500 million per launch. From 0 to Mach 25 or 28,000 kilometers, I go in about less than 8 minutes. And that's where Kalpana Chawla went to space. I launched her twice. Second time, she didn't come back. So we take the responsibility for not bringing her back. And, we still cry every day. I go to the museum in NASA. Next slide. So now this is the launching,
now beginning
but
what is
also
known
we
as
can
the
bring it back. This is
pre-flare
a
maneuver.
glider,
Pull the
classic
nose up a
glider.
little bit right before it hits the runway.
So we do what we call as a
Speed now
deorbit burn over
320
Perth,
miles per
Australia.
hour.
And all we get is one chance.
The gear is down
So I
and
just
locked.
want to impress upon you that we are traveling from 228,000 kilometers per hour over Perth, Australia. 45 minutes later, we land in Florida.
Main gear
No
touchdown.
engines, no fuel, no nothing, basically.
Atlantis' nose being now rotated down toward the runway. The chute being deployed.
Yeah, we have it. We tease the astronauts saying that if you go
And
past
nose
the
gear
runway, you're
touchdown.
going to go in a swamp
Space
and kiss
Shuttle
an
Atlantis
alligator.
now comes home to the Kennedy Space Center for the final time. 25 years, 32 flights, and more than 120 million miles traveled. The legacy of Atlantis now in the history books.
Next slide. This is another form of X-737B space plane. This is a secret Air Force plane, and it stays up in space for 9 months and stuff like that. It's solar powered. It can do multiple launch and landing at different parts of the world. And, more importantly, it's used for secret missions. So why we bring up all these three? Because these are the autonomous systems. So when we launch a rocket, nothing happens, without we tracking it and making sure that we want to go where we want to go. Like in this case, it would be International Space Station or going to the Hubble to repair the Hubble, and things like that. So let's go to next slide. So next aspect of the past AI uses in robotics and rovers and stuff like that. So basically, Canada, the country of Canada gave us this Canada arm, and this Canada arm is a robotic arm installed on the International Space Station, which really I was involved in building that from day one in 1998 all the way to its completion in 2008, 2009. So International Space Station is like Taj Mahal in the sky. Basically, it's a $250 billion machine. It's going around and around the earth, every 90 minutes. So you and me see one sunrise per day. In space, we see 16 of them on the ISS, basically. So again, it is very important for us as mankind to make sure that our astronauts are safe in space. So to do that, we have to use all the technologies we have, and robotics is one of the technologies which really helped us to repair the Hubble Space Telescope. So in my first year at NASA in 1990, around that time, I launched the Hubble Space Telescope. I launched Ulysses to the Sun as a probe to the Sun. I launched Magellan to Venus, and I launched Galileo to Jupiter, and we are ready to launch Cassini to Saturn. So, again, I just want to impress upon you that a small kid growing up in Mumbai can he do all these things with NASA? It is possible. I was the first Indian-born person to work on NASA launch pad. So that's another feat, So anything is possible if you don't give up. Next slide. Robonauts are another big facilitators for in space. Basically, these humanoid type robots are necessary to do mundane things on the International Space Station as well as in space. If you want to look at a leak in a particular place, you don't want to make an astronaut stand there with a leak detector and stay there for 24 hours. You would ask a robonaut to do it. And so basically, robonauts are very, very important part of our culture. And these are the ones which are going to help exploration of space to make humans safe. So we can send some of these robots to Mars or Moon, and then they will help us to set up the infrastructure, and then we send the astronauts. Next slide. Again, Mars is another very, very tricky area. Obviously, we haven't sent anybody to Mars yet. And except Matt Damon, I guess he was growing potatoes, I'm sure you have eaten some of his potatoes. So, basically, rovers are very important. Robotics on Mars is very important because we have to have understanding of the Martian atmosphere, Martian dust, Martian storms, Martian life in life forms, water and other things, to understand what is available there and what is not available there. So we can be sending a human to Mars when we get a chance only every 2 years to go to Mars, and it's almost like 30 to 100 million miles away, and we have to land Mars, and how do we get him back? So the movie Martian, has tricks to get Matt Damon back, but that's Hollywood or Hollywood for you. So don't think that, NASA copies Hollywood. A lot of times, not a lot of times, all the time, Hollywood is copying, NASA basically. And that's how they came up with the ideas of movies, before NASA. So we will land on Mars one day, definitely. Next slide. So this is a slide of landing on Mars. I will show you a video, I think, after this. So imagine, you're going 100,000 miles, 100 million miles away from Earth to land on Mars. I mean, when you're coming to Mars, you're already landing at, spacecraft is going at like 12,000 miles per hour once it comes into the Martian atmosphere. It has to slow down. So it does an aerodynamic drag. And then as it comes down, we have to have a parachute. And this is a very powerful parachute. and to bring the speed down to 200 miles per hour. Otherwise, it will just crash land, and many people have landed on Mars, crash landed. So basically now we have to come all the way down, and on the descent stage, what we do is we fire what they call as a retrofit rocket, and slowly we bring the rover down, and we have a sky crane maneuver where this sky crane has a tether, or you can call it strings, and we cut off the strings, and then the rocket goes away, and then the rover stays on the ground. This is the only way to land on Mars, because we have tried all different ways. And if you can't land like this, but can you imagine this whole sequence has to be done in 7 minutes, from that point at the top to the right side, this is amazing amount of feet, which really, really boggles my mind, really, because by the time we even send a signal to Mars, it is 14 minutes of signal time. I can't talk to this probe, so it has to be, everything has to be autonomous. Next slide. So let's look at this video quickly, and so here is the probe comes as it comes to the close to Mars after 9 months of journey, and then once it comes, it gets about 7 minutes. Now it's into the Martian atmosphere. Now it takes off the top part, and then it starts going towards the Mars. Now the aerodynamic drag is coming. Now 3000 degrees of temperature. Now it's coming very close to the zero crater. Now all your spacecraft will burn down right there. Now we found the landing site. We have the parachute. So now it's less than 100 meters above. So slowly it will come down and drop on a tether or a rope. There you go. It comes on a tether, and now the tether has to break. Goes away. Padmesh, let's go to the next slide. Now we have the Perseverance rover. It also has a helicopter underneath it. So the helicopter will come down. And as I was telling you, Leonardo da Vinci was flying 500 years ago. I flew helicopters and designed helicopters in Boeing in 1980s. And then little bit later, my company, my entity NASA, they're flying helicopters on Mars. So can you imagine that, from 500 years to like less than 50 years, 60 years, we are flying helicopters on Mars. So now the Perseverance rover goes far away and the helicopter gets ready to fly. So now why do I need a helicopter on Mars? Because Perseverance rover, it's very hard for it to go up and down the hills, and it cannot find out what is on the other side of the mount. And that's why we need helicopters. And this is amazing type of helicopter. This is one of a kind. It's a very lightweight helicopter, and it takes and we are measuring data from the rover. Now we are taking the data from the Mars images and then sending the data back to rover, and that's sending the data back to Earth. Now, in future, AI will take this data and make decisions right there. So Martian atmosphere is, it's much different than Earth, and so basically it is almost impossible to run something like this on Mars. So that's a great feat of engineering for all of you. Now, that gives us the support system to study Mars very fast. Again, another aspect of data analysis, like we talked about with the ground infrastructures and looking at what kind of soil we have, what kind of dust storms we have, what kind of sounds are generated on Mars, what kind of composition of the environment is basically like it is 96% carbon dioxide and stuff like that, and a little bit of nitrogen there. And we want to know all these things before you can send humans. Next slide. So in future, what we'll do is we not only get the data and process the data, but also we can use AI to optimize the data and process it so that the decisions can be made right on site. Instead of we sending the data back to Earth, which is large amount of data. And for that also we have developed new technologies, but getting the data back to Earth and then analyzing and processing, I know we don't want to do that. So the idea is to give more autonomy to some of these helicopters and rovers so they can process the data and then make decisions where to go, what to do and stuff like that without human intervention. Next slide. Health monitoring is very, very important because what happens is in space, many times we something goes wrong with the rocket, just like Apollo 13, the oxygen tank blew up. So how do we monitor that? We had problems on Challenger when Challenger blew up because of O-ring problem, or Columbia when it was landing and Kalpana Chawla died in 2003 because of the pinhole, which created what we call as major problem with the heating of the elements. So basically we can have all kinds of problems, but if we can detect it ahead of time, and then AI can provide a solution. So basically health monitoring, just like astronaut health monitoring, it could be astronauts health monitoring also, in addition to monitoring the spacecraft health monitoring. Next slide. Again, we talked about let's say ISS. So we want to understand the real-time anomalies with our systems up in space, because some of the systems we cannot go and repair. Like yes, we can repair ISS. We could have repaired the Hubble 6 times, but somebody like the rover sitting on Mars, we cannot go and ask send somebody to repair it. Like our satellites, which are way high, more than 10,000 kilometers above the ground, we cannot just go and repair them. So basically, what will happen is in future, detection of engines, propulsion, thermal controls, communication systems, data analysis systems, imaging systems, all this will be carried out by in situ. In situ means right on the ground there, right in the place there. Next slide. So spacecraft traffic management, this is a big problem. As you know, that even on the ISS, we manage the ISS by moving it, the attitude, by firing the thrusters on the Soyuz rockets. Basically, why we do that? Because if there's a small debris which comes at almost 20,000 miles per hour, it can completely demolish the ISS. So we have to move the rocket, move the whole system up and down or sideways. Luckily, we have a three-dimensional system where we can very easily do this. So space traffic management will be a big challenge in future because we have so much space junk in space, and all these things have to be taken care of. So in addition to that, AI has been used in the past to image black holes and study black holes, mapping stars and galaxies, and also space debris monitoring and resolution, basically. Next slide. Exoplanet discovery is another area of AI, because when you look at the whole, you are talking about billions and billions and billions of stars. How do we categorize them and how do you analyze them? And that's where we are using telescopes and stuff like that. And telescopes gives us the data, and data will be processed by AI algorithms, which is basically then feedback again to do some kind of machine learning. Next slide. So this is the International Space Station I built. Every single part here, imagine you have a 5-bedroom house on Earth, and you want to put a faucet or you want to put a bathroom. You go and bring a faucet from the store. If it doesn't work, you just go and return it and repair it again. In space, we can't do that. Once you send it to space, it's gone, basically. This is about 500,000 kilos, guys. I just want to impress upon you that this element is put together by like a Lego set. One element by one element, joints are connected. And each joint or each part or each module has to be sent by the space shuttle or a rocket from Russia. And as this space station goes around the world at Mach 25 or 28,000 kilometers, it comes very close to Florida. We launch our rocket and we try to catch up. And there's a catch-up mechanism where we have to rendezvous from our space shuttle to this ISS and then use the robotic arm to take whatever is in the space shuttle and attach it to this ISS. So that's how we built it. It's just not a joke, when you're traveling at 25, how do you build a house when you're traveling at Mach 25 or 28,000 kilometers per hour? Okay. So we can't even pass a baton, or when you have a relay race, we have to pass a stick. We can't even pass that properly on Earth by running. Now, how do we do that at 28,000 kilometers? And we are talking about going from Mumbai back to Mumbai every 90 minutes. So next slide. So this is a future applications of AI in space. We talked a little bit about satellite repairs, telescope assembly. Remember, we had problems with spherical aberration on Hubble, but we had the tenacity and we had the courage to send astronauts back to space and fix it, not one time, 6 times. And we made sure that it gave us the beautiful images of the Earth and, of the universe, basically. Space debris removal is a big thing. Resource utilization. Somebody the other day said that, if you just go to one of the asteroids and mine it, you'll be a trillionaire, depending upon what you find there. Obviously, you know what to look for there initially. Planetary exploration, building moon villages and Mars habitats and things like that. Next slide.
The lunar lander has detached from the rocket launch and is on a course to Shackleton's crater, the moon's south pole. Inside the lander is a cylinder which contains an inflatable dome and 2 robot 3D printers. After the cylinder containing the habitation capsule has been unloaded, a dome is inflated from one end. This provides the support structure for construction, a little like scaffolding is used to build on Earth. The lunar habitation is built by a robot-operated 3D printer. At one end, it has a scoop to collect the regolith. In the centre are the containers for the printing material. At the other end, there is a robotic arm with a printing head. The robot collects regolith from the moon's surface. Layers of this moon dust are built up over the dome to create the protective shell. This process takes about 3 Earth months. The shell is made up of a hollow, closed cellular structure. Under a microscope, it would look very similar to the close-up of a bird's bone. Like a bone, it is light and incredibly strong at the same time. The lunar lander has detached from the rocket launch and is on a
Next slide.
course to Shackleton's crater.
The base
Next
on
slide.
Mars, we will use a two-phase approach. In Phase 1, an ecosystem of 3D printing robots will arrive months in advance of any human explorer. They will construct the protective shield for the base by adopting a modular robotic swarm strategy, a plan that allows for redundancies and enhances the odds for success. Intelligent autonomous robots will have interchangeable roles, from battery storage to scout rovers, logistics to excavational, and even 3D printing units, all integrated with multiple cameras and sensors for navigation. They can reconfigure themselves for a multitude of purposes, ensuring prolonged usage beyond the initial build phases. The smallest configuration is the one-wheeled scout rover that uses ultrasonic scanning to analyze the Martian surface to determine the best regions for obtaining optimum regolith. The digger receives the location coordinates and then excavates the Martian soil. It then delivers the payload to the refining assemblies. Here, large chunks of Martian regolith can be processed down to a finer grain and then delivered to the melter robots in situ. They then use concentrated microwaves to melt the regolith and extrude through the 3D printing nozzle. The shell is autonomously 3D printed, layer by layer, over several months by the robotic system. In the next phase, the first astronauts arrive with the habitation units, equipment, and supplies. The robots now take on their second life roles to aid the next phase. They come together to make flexible mobile platforms that can carry the payload from the loading zone to the base. The convoy begins its journey across the Martian surface to the habitat site. The build commences with a connector module placed underneath the protective shield and ready for inflation.
Go to the next slide then.
Advance of any human explorer.
Well, this was a very informative session on artificial intelligence and its applications. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi, for taking out your valuable time and addressing all our attendees. Well, this webinar has been broadcasted live in many schools and colleges, and I would like to thank you on their behalf as well. Before I hand over to our moderator, Ms. Moshini Banerjee, for Q&A, I have a question for you, Dr. Ravi. As an Indian, we can recall the conversation between the former Prime Minister, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, and Rakesh Sharma, who had been to space. Have you ever had any conversation with any of the astronauts while they are in space? If yes, can you please tell us about it?
I haven't really talked to any astronauts directly, but indirectly I have talked to them. I used to be in control panel, and when we were working on the ISS program, I've talked to Andy Thomas, one of our astronauts, and Pamela Melroy is another astronaut who I've communicated with emails and other things. So basically, there are a lot of issues on the ISS, and at that time we get called to the main control center, and we try to analyze issues with both technical issues as well as non-technical issues. But mainly in my role, it would have been technical issues about vibroacoustics or something going wrong on the International Space Station. Because at the tail end of my career, last 3 years, I sent about 400 payloads to the International Space Station, from tiny Japanese mice all the way to alpha magnetic spectrometer to measure dark matter for, it's worth about $5 billion. So it's very important for us to understand that not only we have the support of the whole world, when it comes to solving problems, that is a beauty about NASA. NASA is one of the best teams for engineering collaboration. So typically we talk about technical issues because time is of the essence, and we cannot just talk about private matters and stuff like that. So, but I met Buzz Aldrin, I met Neil Armstrong, I met all more than 400 astronauts. Pamela Melroy is my favorite astronaut. She is the number 2 person in whole of NASA right now. She has been sort of my mentor for a long time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. I will now hand over the Q&A to our moderator, Ms. Moshmi Banerjee. And
yeah, I just want to add one more thing. Again, I want to take credit for this because many people may not know in this in the world. So when Kalpana Chawla first time went to space, I worked with the NASA administrator, Dan Goldin. He's on LinkedIn now. He was the administrator, and the Indian ambassador, T.P. Srinivasan, came to me and asked me whether the Indian Prime Minister, Inder Kumar Gujral, could talk to Kalpana as soon as she reached space. But it was not pre-programmed, so it was very hard to do that. Anyway, I went to see my center director, Roy Bridges, and also worked with Dan Goldin, and immediately he approved it. So Inder Kumar Gujral was connected through Houston, and he talked to Kalpana for 1 hour. I think the video is online somewhere. I got very small portion of it, but it's amazing. He said, "You're a beautiful swan swimming in the heavens," basically. And I was the last person to see her right both times. The first time in 1997, when she just passed me 2 feet away. And the second time, same thing happened, and then she didn't come back. So it's kind of sad.
yeah, but people like Dr. Kalpana Chawla, people like you, and they all make us Indians proud when they do such amazing things. And so I would, again, thank you all very much to take the Indian name and raise the flag very high.
I just want to be remembered as a astronaut maker for Kalpana Chawla. I'm not an astronaut. I was happy to be doing what I'm doing, and in fact, I learned more by being on the ground than in space. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. And we've got a few more questions from our students from Pan India, and we've collaborated them. And I'll ask our moderator, Ms. Moshmi Banerjee, to ask you a few questions, please.
Yeah, me and Pratmesh, we both will answer part of it. So we are just going to share the questions, I guess. So go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. And thank you so much to Mr. Prateek Singhvi. Thank you so much, Pratmesh. And I have few questions from all our inquisitive minds. And the next question is, how is artificial intelligence currently being utilized in space exploration missions?
Yeah, we have done many things, but most importantly, develop automatic image analysis, and we also did develop the probes in space. We have AI-based radio communication, autonomous landing, like on the space shuttle. And then now you see on SpaceX, we have autonomous liftoff also, and landing rovers on Mars. That's, highly big aspect of what we do, because out of maybe 50 attempts, only less than 7 or 8 attempts by NASA, we have landed on Mars. Nobody else has landed on Mars. Medicine in space, medical requirements like on the ISS is very important to us. Searching for planets, using not only James Webb Telescope, but also Hubble Space Telescope. Robonauts, and then navigation on Moon, and Mars, basically. All this require AI support. And so basically, it doesn't mean that, this is the only realm of what we are talking about. This is just giving you a highlight of what we see, basically.
All right, thank you. And the next question is, what could be the extent of using AI in autonomous navigation and decision making?
Rutnesh, you want to go? Where is he? He's hiding.
I am here. I am here, and there is a lot of noise behind me. So I hope
Okay.
I am quite audible for you.
Yes, yes.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. The question is, what could be the extent of using AI in autonomous navigation and decision making?
So there are various factors that goes into this particular question. In decision making, you have multiple factors around the surrounding around you and what you're visualizing, and plus what data it has been trained over. So autonomous, the way we have autonomous vehicles on ground fleet, uh, but it has to be very much accurate and precise towards the positioning, and the GPS coordinates has to be pre-fed, I guess. That way it can navigate into space. Good example would be avoiding obstacles or debris in space, the bigger ones, not the smaller ones.
Okay. All right. And yeah, the another question comes from another student, and he's from Bangalore, and asking, can AI somehow help make space travel faster and more efficient?
Yeah, I'll take that question. So really, AI can make it, and just want to impress upon you that launching rockets is not an easy business. Space is a dangerous business.
Yeah.
You can ask anybody in the rocket business, and so not only space is dangerous, launching rockets on the ground is dangerous. Putting people in humans, okay. When we launched 700 humans to space, I was involved with that. So all this is very dangerous, and the environment is dangerous, and then monitoring the data is dangerous. So many times we cannot we have to control many factors, like looking at the trajectory, looking at the fuel, looking at takeoff and landing, and where it is going to go and stuff like that. So basically, all these factors will go into calculation when it comes to going faster. So just because we want to go faster, we cannot really go faster because of the limitations of fuel and rocket thrust and other things. So there are some limitations, but yes, AI can make it faster in the long run by optimizing all these parameters. And I think SpaceX is doing with many parameters. They're looking at mass, flow, rates, and environment in space, and also they're looking at the thrust and conditions on the ground and stuff like that. So with all those, I think they're using the trajectory, the fuel usage, the atmospheric conditions, and stuff like that. So if you make a tiny mistake, space doesn't give you a minor error. So if you make a tiny mistake, you're done. You're gone. And you're talking about losing not only 7 astronauts like Columbia, but losing $5 billion rocket. But it's more about the prestige. I lose prestige. NASA is like a gold standard in the world, and we want to make sure that it's the best engineering name in the world, best technical name in the world. And so to make sure we control all these parameters, just not because somebody says go fast, we can't go fast.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And the next question comes from Kolkata. He is asking, what are the common issues that are faced in a space station?
Yeah, I'll take that, Pratmesh. So basically, there are. I worked on the space station quite a bit, and since 2000, first 3-4 years, nothing much happened, and then by 2003, we saw a lot of problems with waste accumulation issues. We had air leak system on Russian systems called the Electron generators. The generators stopped working in 2005, something like that, and then we had venting of gases from the systems. Computer failure is a major problem. Solar panels, we have big, huge solar panels. Those get torn out. We have to go out and fix them. So it's not like just calling a repair guy. I have to send a real human to go out and do it. It's called the EVA, extravehicular activity. It is just most dangerous part of our operation. We also have problem with reboosting the rocket because, as I told you, in case we lose altitude, we can't come too much low towards Earth, then we burn up in the atmosphere. So we have to keep moving it up and up and up to keep it in an optimal location. Or if there's a meteorite coming at 17,000, well, maybe 10,000 miles per hour, it can make a big hole in the system. So we need to make sure that we isolate the vibration. And I think these are the major issues we deal with on day-to-day basis. And there may be other issues too. And unfortunately, there is anything can happen anytime. We may have to abandon. So we also have a Soyuz rocket connected to it. So there's a fire. Everybody sits in the Soyuz and comes out from there. So we have all kinds of contingency plans, emergency plans.
All right. So the another question comes from DJ Sangli College of Mumbai, and the student is asking, what could be the possible ethical considerations that arise when deploying AI models?
I'll let Pratmesh answer that.
Well, in terms of ethics, there are, I will say, the AI has to follow those Isaac Asimov laws and all these things. There are various laws they have to follow. They don't have to go against what they are supposed to do, unless and until it has been set free to explore by its own. So I guess even EU has been currently working on policies to constrain the limitations and hazardous way it can harm us, because there have been multiple incidents and all those things, and we have to make sure that there are laws constraining those AI models out there, like ChatGPT or Bard AI and all those things.
Right. All right. And the next question comes from RGIT College of Mumbai. In what ways can AI be applied to the domain of space exploration?
I think we briefly touched on that part in our this thing. Basically, we started with the automated image analysis and stuff like that. But in current issue of working together with AI, ML, and even I don't think we have used much of this thing. What do you call deep learning yet, but image analysis of galaxies, planets and stars. We are developing autonomous probes to move the rocket from a debris hit, basically. We talked a little bit about AI-based radio technology, autonomous landers on Moon and Mars, basically, like many landers we launched, like Curiosity rover and Perseverance rover, helicopters. We are going to be flying on Mars with a plane, actually. Obviously, it won't be a jumbo jet or whatever. Rovers on Mars using auto navigation. They're doing it already, Spirit and Opportunity. 100 billion stars in the galaxy. We have to analyze stuff like that.
Right.
Finding SETI. SETI is for search for extraterrestrial intelligence, meaning humans, aliens in space. Are there aliens? We don't know, but we are looking for them. I think there are, because there are exoplanets. If there are exoplanets, there is water in the system somewhere. Sometimes, we have to go and kiss the sun. How do we kiss the sun? We send Parker solar probe kind of thing, and we go and we impact the sun, basically. But we don't want to impact the sun, kiss the sun and get burned. So we slowly kiss him. So we go slowly and then dump in the sun. So for that, we have to control our speeds and other things. So navigation on the moon. So there will be GPS on the moon. Right now, there is no GPS on the moon. So those are the things I would say. These are same things which we are doing in the past. Developing from AI to ML to deep learning. Yeah.
All right.
One I would like to add on to that point.
Sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Apart from going to Mars, NASA is also planning a mission to Titan, which is one of the Saturn's moon. And the distance between Earth and the Titan itself is so large, they have to keep the entire mission autonomous, and they will send one signal at a time and receive the data. So the drone itself is going to fly on the entire surface all by its own, and that's where the incredible power of AI is coming in place.
Oh, great to know about it. And the next question comes here from SFIT College of Mumbai. And the student is asking, what challenges did AI help to overcome in space exploration?
Okay, Pratmesh, you want to take?
First thing is the huge amount of data that we are accumulating. If we try to make sense of that data and do the data analysis manually, it's going to take a lot of time. And that was the very first thing which scientists and engineers encountered while they deployed used telescopes out there. And they had to automate it. And that's how we had our entire data science field coming up and booming up with the AI applications. And next thing is moving around navigations. They have to automate it because you can't actually see in space. So, but you can detect something coming towards you, utilizing the physics and all those things. That way, with the help of detection and with the help of ground systems, with that, you can move yourself autonomously. The satellites are doing that currently.
And the next question comes from KJ Somaiya College of Mumbai. What about security measures when it comes to space tourism?
Yeah, Pratmesh is going to space, so I'll let him answer that.
Well, like every organization that have started with human-rated space flight, they started with initial people being military based. They wanted to make sure that everything that is going through is actually going through under their policies and under their restrictions, and they're making sure that there is no national security taking in place. Like there is no threat to the national security. Even us as Indians, that now that we are starting with the Gaganyaan program, we have Indian Air Force people going into that. And coming towards space tourism, private companies has to take legal permissions, and they have to follow strict rules that have been set by the national organization of that particular country. Without that, I guess I don't think so. They are going to allow anyone going to space, because you are basically launching an ICBM type vehicle that is going up there, and if you just redirect the entire trajectory, it can cause the war to start. Potentially, creating disruption across the globe. So there are policies in place, there are rules in place, and I guess that is very much enough to make sure that safety is taken care of.
All right. So the last question that comes from a very inquisitive mind. He's a school-going child and he's from Jaipur, and asking what potential future developments can we expect at the intersection of AI and space exploration?
Okay, I'll start the question and let Pratmesh end it, answering. I think my biggest feeling is that, AI will, the future of space exploration will be tremendously growing by the help of robots, rovers, and also planes, helicopters, and other things, all connected together, working together. So now, in the past, we connected humans to humans, okay, and humans to the environment. Now we'll be connecting humans to the machines, And the biggest thing I see is that these machines will be, maybe it is like Simon 2, which NASA is developing with Airbus and IBM. This clearly goes into the emotional aspect of humans, and it goes into the personal feelings, personal habits, personal thinking, everything, because don't forget, space isolation is a very bad thing for humans, and all those things, especially traveling to Mars, is 9 months going and 9 months coming. Now, if we talk about going even farther away, it will be a big task so there is going to be a human intelligence and emotional and all aspects of humans connected to the machine and connected to robots and other machines, because they have to work together in harmony.
Right.
So if not, then we'll have a failure. Either it will be on the human side or the machine side. Because don't forget that in the end, human intelligence will, the curiosity of space exploration is only applicable to humans, not nobody else. So, Ratmesh, go finish it.
Well, that is really amazing way that AI is intersecting with space and humans together. Well, I will give you one more example that once that we are settling on other planets, making life multiplanetary species, we are definitely going to need robots to be our assistant to move around heavy things. Because if we are trying to mine different planets, different areas on different moons, we are going to require those heavy machineries, and we can't actually put those things over and over using rockets. That's where the AI application comes in. We can have group of robots, like a swarm of robots, working together, doing one particular task at a time. And same for even for settling on different planets, creating habitats. We'll have to make sure that before we enter there, robots have cross-checked each and everything. So the intersection has already started to happen. Even on ground applications, even on Earth, we are doing that. Robots are working in factories with us, side by side with humans and machines, like assembling cars and different automation sectors. So I guess it's really a good time to be in, looking at how progressively we are going ahead with AI applications. And it's also one drawback that people are fearing how AI is going to take over their part in day-to-day life. But I guess we are going to figure it out over it.
All right. Thank you so much to Dr. Ravi, and thank you so much to Mr. Prathamesh for answering all the questions. And now I hand over it to Mr. Prateek Singhvi, and he will take it further from here. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just want to make a last comment. I just want to make a last comment. If you want to close the program, I just want to say something to the students.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I just want to talk to the audience and say that, if you want to come up in life, I want you to think about, trigger in your mind. It's called the calling, making sure that my calling came from a movie called Sangam. In that movie, I wanted to become, emulate the pilot, so that I can marry a beautiful girl and go around the world. I did that. I never became a pilot. So like Leonardo da Vinci said, if you don't become a pilot, at least build the planes for everybody. And that was my dream, to come to America. And I started working for Boeing and built helicopters and rockets and planes. So really, that is your passion. So follow your passion, follow your dream. Don't just do things because your parents say and stuff like that. So if there is failures. I have failed in many times in my life. So don't worry about failures. And even sometimes my own family, my parents would say that, I may not get a small job, even, like to clean the floors in Mumbai or whatever, the guy who sweeps the floor. And now look at where I am, basically. I'm sitting on top of the mountain. In 1973, I met Tenzing Norgay, and he told me, Ravi, don't worry about Mount Everest. It's been taken. When you're born in 1953, I climbed Mount Everest. So find your own mountain, define your own peak and climb it. I was like saying, Mr. Tenzing, there's no other peak higher than Mount Everest. But he didn't tell me that it was not on Earth, it could be on Mars, or it could be on some other asteroid. So it's very important to define your own peak. So what is my peak? My peak was coming to America and becoming somebody best in aerospace engineering. I didn't even think about NASA, but NASA came as my moonshot, I would say, basically. So fate never handed Genghis Khan his destiny. He created himself. So learn from failures. Failures are okay. Impossible, the word impossible, take it out from your vocabulary. If you think something, if you dream, the world will collude with you to make it happen. Three things, if you forget everything I said today for 1.5 hours, just remember three things. Don't have any fear in life. Fear, there's no such thing as fear. Fear is just an imaginary thing. Fear means forget everything and run up the hill, or face everything and rise. Take all the risks in the world, because you came with nothing, not even your clothes on your body, you go with nothing. So by taking risks, you may lose, but if you don't take risks, you will always be a loser. Now, the last one is the most important one, is your self-esteem. So after launching 700 people to space, people ask me, Dr. Ravi, what do you think about, Elon Musk or somebody? I said, I have the highest self-esteem. What I have done, nobody can buy it with my experience. Nobody can buy it, so basically, the self-esteem is very important, which makes you think that you are valuable, you are worth. And if you have low self-esteem, you're not going anywhere. So that's the highest amount of self-esteem you want to have. And last but not least, believe in yourself, dream and dare, and dare mighty things. Good luck, Godspeed. Thank you.
Sir, I have got two questions right now from SFIT college students, and they want to know, how is AI different than machine learning?
Ramesh, where is my friend?
Well, AI, we have briefly covered it, right? I guess it was second or third slide in that we covered that, how AI has subsets. Machine learning is where the process begins. Machine learning is where you teach machine how to visualize things, how to understand different things. If I'm giving my machine to understand the chair, it has to know how it looks like, how it is actually imagined, what are the different parameters that makes the chair. And that's where the entire process of machine learning begins. And once you start to develop the entire structuration of the parameters and collect the data, you feed it to a deep learning. And that deep learning now, without having to train, it can automatically detect those parameters, and it can automatically tell you that, hey, this is a chair that is kept in front of me. And it's more like teaching a baby how to see its surrounding and how to be careful around it. And that's how the evolution of AI happens. So AI is basically just, machine learning is basically just a subset of AI.
Right. So the next question is, what would you prefer, AI or ML? This question is also from SFIT College of Mumbai.
I will just go ahead, Prathamesh. I'll just say that they're all interlinked, so we cannot, we have to depend on everything basically. So go ahead. Yeah.
If you want to develop a very basic model, so I guess machine learning. And if you want to develop an automated system that can work all by its own and make decisions, then AI. It depends on what application you're working on.
All right. So this is one of the last question, and very common question from, I think it comes from all of the students from SFIT College, and they're asking, what is the future of AI? Will it replace humans and take their jobs?
Well, I'm retired from NASA, so I don't need a job. So let Prathamesh answer that.
Yeah, well, actually, that question has been around in industry for a very long time. And we have seen that many jobs have been lost. Even IBM recently announced that 4,000 jobs had been automated just because of AI. But still, new jobs have been produced just because of AI. So we should not be afraid. Rather than being afraid, we should upskill ourselves so that we can adapt to that particular environment of AI.
Yeah, I think he's totally right. I'm not going to be afraid of AI because human intelligence is much, much, much higher than AI. And as I told you earlier, if you make a mistake of a tiny mistake in math or physics, your robot or probe is going to go and crash on Mars. And we had a Mars climate observer. It went and crashed on Mars because we used the wrong units, metric units versus British units. So what that tells you is go back to the drawing board. On one side, you have science and math. In the center, you have engineering. And on the right side, you have technology. So STEM is the bottom line. If you don't, the bottom line is if you don't follow the laws of physics, you're doomed. So that means science and technology are an integral part of AI and ML and DL. So it doesn't matter what you study or what you want to do. In the end, it's all about science and engineering.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi, and thank you so much for the questions. And now I hand it over to Mr. Prateek Singh. He will take it further from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, follow your passion, follow your dreams, and find your peak. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. And also, yeah, be fearless. I think that's the crux of all your experience if one has to summarize it. And I think if everyone follows that, everyone will be able to find their own peak. So I would like to now conclude this webinar by thanking Dr. Margasham once again and Mr. Prathamesh from NSS Mumbai. Also, I would like to thank everyone from the Meridian Overseas for bringing this webinar live. And lastly, thank you to all our attendees and volunteers across colleges and schools pan-India.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Ravi. We now concluded the webinar, and hopefully we will see you live in India very soon. And there are many students who would like to come and visit you.
Yeah, I think this face-to-face
Dr. Ravi,
meetings.
you're on mute, I think.
Oh,
okay.
No, I'm not on mute.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So my feeling is that, you know, right now, maybe they're seeing my image, but the emotions and the knowledge which gets transferred, you know, from a master to a student or a teacher to a student is by you know, facial expressions and hand movements and other things. You know, these are like sound waves and vibration waves. You know, and it's very important for people to see me physically. And you know, in fact, I don't like to do this kind of seminars at all online. You know, but you know, people think that, you know, they can save some money. Now I'm heading to Chennai in October. You know, they were thinking the same thing, but the president of the Hindustan University, he said, look, I know Dr. Ravi and I want him to come here. Then he can talk to the second year, third year, fourth year teachers, everybody. And that way he'll interface with them. And I know I've been there once. So I think NASA understands that, you know, yes, there is money issue, but what people don't understand is, like, you know, if I go to HU and, you know, they say if a NASA person comes, you know, and he can bring in many, many students to that entity, you know. So that is the message I want to, you know, convey here, that by doing, you know, we are not doing justice to the students, you know, by giving this online lectures. Yes, you know, it's like commotion, you know, basically. Whereas when you come to and see the people, you know, you have that separate feeling. One good example I'll give you, I was with the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and I used to live in Abu Dhabi in '67, but I met him more recently about 5-7 years ago. And as I was talking to him about Abu Dhabi and how it grew and all that, a small British girl comes running to me and says, Dr. Ravi, I want to go to the moon, but only with you. You know, that is the amount of passion she had, and she believed in me, she trusted me. So that is what we want to convey the heart and soul and the an aspect of what we feel. The feelings are not connected. You know, it's like, I would say it's more like a telepathy between two people, you know, when you stand in front of the audience and they may come and meet you, and even people get autograph from me, take selfies with me and stuff like that. Even one girl from India, Ravi College of Engineering, where I went to school in Bangalore, she had an autograph of a book. 6 years later, she came to University of Arizona and she sends me that on LinkedIn. So these are the messages I want to share with people and stuff like that, you know. I was in Turkey one time, and some girls, she said, Dr. Ravi, how much is this shirt? You know, you're wearing it, a NASA logo. Did you get it from Hugo Boss? I was giving lectures at Hugo Boss. So I said, no, you can't buy this in Turkey. You have to buy it in America, and she says, "Oh, take the shirt out. I'll give you $100, $200. I want your shirt." So this is the kind of magical transformation in people happen when we come personally, in my opinion. And what the people don't understand is that one-to-one relation, face-to-face meeting is the most powerful statement you can make. Even let's say, I can even give a good example of love, like you connect with somebody for 10 years or 5 years or 1 year with a beautiful girl. That's not the same as meeting her, right? So, and it's the same thing with the space shuttle, or astronaut. Like, if I can meet Kalpana Chawla, looking at her picture, or going and seeing her in NASA personally, then it's different than me seeing a rocket standing somewhere, in a picture.
Well, definitely, Dr. Ravi, we are very excited to welcome you here. And Meridian Overseas Education Consultants, we are in 12 cities pan India. So we will try and arrange a seminar for you in as much as possible as you can.
Yeah. See, I'm not here to, my goal is to help the kids, and share my knowledge, because I'll be gone one day and all my knowledge will be gone. Okay. So if you read Henry Petrosky, he says that, that there's a 30-year forgetting curve. So in 30 years, you'll forget everything you have and somebody else will take over your job. So my goal is to transfer the knowledge. Yes, I'm not Abdul Kalam, or I'm not Shah Rukh Khan, working in Swadesh. I was his tour guide, by the by, and I was also Abdul Kalam's, Dr. Kalam's tour guide. And he said to me, he said, "Dr. Ravi, I'm jealous of you." And I was like, I fell down. I said, "Dr. Kalam, how can you be jealous of a tiny boy like this, a tiny guy, when you're a former president of India, missile man, rocket man of India?" He says, "One thing you have done, which I'll never be able to do, is you launched the first Indian woman to space." Just like Tenzing climbed Mount Everest, nobody can launch Kalpana Chawla again, the first Indian woman, because anybody who you launch will be second then, And then I launched 700 people to space on 100 space shuttles. He said, "You launched humans to space, and that's the next frontier for humankind to live and work in space. That is your legacy. So you are really the true astronaut maker of NASA." So I don't need anything from anybody, that those words from Abdul Kalam, Dr. Kalam. My father was standing on the right side, Dr. Kalam on the left side, I'm in the center. And that's the kind of thing we are talking about. So I'll let you go. I think you have to take care of other things. So we'll talk again. Yeah. I think you're muted. You're muted.